Welcome to this week's Operation American Dream. I'm your host, Daniel Lehman. Today I've got a great guest for you in the employment segment. I've got my good friend Kevin Cortez and Deborah Rosen to talk about the San Diego Business Chamber and their program, Operation Connect.
And I'm Eve Nasby, and we've got Assemblymember Rocky Chavez joining us. We also have John Funk from Easterseals of Southern California.
You've tuned in to Operation American Dream. We're going to get it started. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Operation American Dream. I'm Eve Nasby, and in studio this morning we are very honored to have Assemblyman Rocky Chavez. Rocky, welcome to the show.
Well, I'm excited to be here. It's a beautiful day.
You are amazing. You spent so much time in the Marines, and now you're here serving us once again. But because we have a military audience, would you please share with us your incredible career in the Marines?
Well, I was honored to join the Marine Corps. I enlisted in July of '73, commissioned in March '74. And 28 years later, retired as a Marine Colonel. Wow. I served in the 1st Division, 2nd Division, 3rd Division, 4th Division, had joint tours, and I worked in Washington, D.C., and a bunch of other things. But it was a great time. But my children told me, hey, Dad, we went to 9 different schools to get out of high school. So there's a toll to the family, but happy to say all the kids have graduate degrees and did very well. But being in the military, it's a family experience.
Yes, and now you've got grandkids that love you, and you're just...
I got 5 grandchildren, and my son was in the Navy for a while, got a lieutenant commander. My other son went in the Coast Guard, and my daughter married a Marine. So we're a military family.
Right on. Well, you could have done anything when you got out of the military. Why did you choose the road and the path that you chose?
It was more fun.
Politics is more fun.
You know, I wanted to do something where I didn't have to, and I'm sure the military appreciate this, where I didn't have to take orders anymore. I could do what I thought was right and go do it. And when you're up in politics, the only people you respond to are the voters. And so you put it out there and you let the voters know what you stand for, and then you're held accountable every 2 years. And I've been fortunate enough to be elected since 2002.
That's great. Wow. And you've got a great track record for supporting our military and making really good strategic decisions for not only your local sector, but for the state. So please tell us, what's the hottest thing you guys are working on right now?
Well, the hottest thing we're working on is the whole issue of the Guard.
Yeah, the National Guard.
The California National Guard. I had some history on this back when I was the Undersecretary at the California Department of Veteran Affairs in 2009. All this was coming to light. There was a number of investigations because, quite frankly, at a high level, not the junior enlisted, because they're great, but at a higher level, there was some bad leadership. And they were held accountable, and they were forced to retire. But now, looking back, we had to make sure that the young people who went overseas and did it for all the right reasons were paid appropriately. Now, the idea of pulling the money back is the wrong thing to do. So everybody in the Assembly, Democrat and Republican, bipartisan support, are saying this is going to happen. I'm on the Governor's Military Council, which is a bipartisan effort with congressmen who have served before. We have a series of 3- and 4-star admirals and generals from all the different services. And this is one of our priorities, to make sure that those who have served are taken care of, and they'll not have to give the money back.
What is the purpose? You mentioned the Governor's Council. What is the purpose of that council? Well,
the purpose of the Governor's Military Council is to make sure that the governor is aware of the Department of Defense needs and how California can meet those needs. When we talk about the pivot to the east, and we start looking about the greater role that the Pacific Theater will impact upon the United States, you just got to look at the United States and say, who has the largest coastline of the United States on the Pacific?
And that's Let me think about that.
That's California. So California is right in the forefront of that. Also, when you look at technologies, unmanned vehicles, and you start looking at Space Command and looking at satellites, you know, all those technologies are right here in California. So it's actually tens of billions of dollars that are invested in California from the Department of Defense. And our objective is to make sure California supports the Department of Defense mission.
Wow, that's incredible. And you've got so many leaders within that council to really make this happen.
Right.
That's great. What other things are you working on locally? Because I know you're a huge veteran advocate and you're actually loving working with children too. So talk about that part of Assemblyman Rocky Chavez.
Well, as I tell everybody, they said, why are you the Assemblyman? Why do you want to get reelected? And I said, because I got a lot of work to do in education, and I'm very passionate about how children can go forward and do things. I care deeply about veterans because I represent Camp Pendleton, and I joke around. This is a military channel, right? So military guys understand this. You can't throw a dead cat without hitting a veteran. They're everywhere in North County. So I care about that a great deal, and I care about energy.
Yes, the education piece too, though. I think you're investing yourself into the kids because they're going to be our leaders for tomorrow. Lots of things that you've been doing with those guys. So thank you.
It's an honor to do that, but if you start looking at the problems that are going on, especially now in this cycle, so there's so much negativity, we really are in a good way. If you don't believe it, go talk to an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old or a 16-year-old. There's a lot of them that have strong aspirations, just like your daughter.
Yeah.
They got a great future, and I think they're going to do very good for our country.
They do. Well, Assemblyman member Rocky Chavez, thank you for being a part of our show today. Thank you for your service to this great nation, and thank you for continuing to serve us in your political office. And we look forward to seeing you for many years to come.
At least another 10 or 15.
At least another 10 or 15.
That's right.
You'll have great grandchildren.
Yeah.
By then.
As long as you stay healthy.
That's right. Thanks again, Rocky.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with more Operation American Dream. Don't go away. Welcome back to Operation American Dream. I'm Eve Nasby in studio this morning with one of my very, very good friends, John Funk from Easterseals of Southern California. Welcome to the show, John.
Thanks, Eve.
It's always a great pleasure to see you. You're so full of energy, and I just love the dynamic. And just for our viewers to know, what was your position in the Navy?
I was in the Navy for 28 years.
Yeah.
I retired as a Navy captain 4 years ago.
That's right, Navy captain. You're amazing. And now you're working with Easterseals of Southern California, helping guys just like you and gals transition successfully out of the military into the civilian workforce. So give us a little bit about what Easterseals of Southern California does to help ensure the success of these veterans.
Well, we run what we call the Bob Hope Veteran Support Program. And we're honored to have the opportunity to be part of that Bob Hope legacy. His 6 decades plus of support to the military community.
Incredible.
So it's a privilege to be able to continue in that same vein. But our program is specifically designed to work with veterans as they transition off of active duty from their military service into the civilian workforce. And we work with the veteran one-on-one to kind of identify what it is that they define themselves as, what they're looking for next, how do they define a sense of purpose, and also help them realize that, yes, we got it. There's a lot of challenges, and there's anxiety and frustration and intimidation, and we help the individuals work through that. And then once we get there, we help them kind of learn how to tell their story and then connect them with a wide spectrum of different employers that they want to be part of so we can help them kind of get to the right spot.
And I think what I love what you do is you sit down, and we're going to talk to Caleb in just a second, you sit down with them one-on-one in a non-threatening environment, a coffee shop, Starbucks, or whatever. And I think one of my most favorite questions you ask is, what is your passion? Really, what gets you up in the morning? What are you excited about? Because I think sometimes veterans think that they have to do what they did in the military, and they really don't want to.
Right. We want to help them get out of that perspective and those boundaries that maybe they've created for themselves.
Exactly. So, Caleb, welcome to the show. We're glad you're here.
Hi, thank you.
You know this guy?
Yes, absolutely.
So tell us about yourself, and then how Easterseals has helped you.
Well, absolutely. I'm a 12-and-a-half-year Navy veteran. I was active duty worldwide service as a hospital corpsman, retired as a petty officer first class. During my time active duty, I really had a passion for medicine and helping people. After transition, I was in a military workshop, and that's through that workshop I met John through Easter Seals.
So talk about the challenge of transitioning. How have you found that process?
The challenging part for me for transitioning is really just getting up in the morning, finding something that helps me define myself. Like you said earlier, is John asked me the tough question. What am I passionate about?
Yes.
What am I? What drives me? And the answer to that is service dogs.
Really? And we have Chloe with us this morning as well. Welcome, Chloe. So tell us about that passion.
So while I was active duty, I was diagnosed with injuries and a condition that service dogs helped me with, Yes. And my wife and I adopted Chloe as a rescue and put her through rigorous training, and now she's my service dog and comes everywhere with me.
And so are we allowed to pet Chloe? How does that work? And kind of educate us from the outside in on when we see folks like you with service dogs, is it appropriate to say, hi, can we pet your dog? What's your take?
Well, that's a really good question and very misunderstood sometimes. It all depends on the individual and what their disability is or their need for their service dog. Sometimes if you come up and pet a dog in public, it distracts them from doing their job, which can actually be not only dangerous, but even life-threatening in extreme cases.
Wow.
Opposite for me, it's actually Chloe's one of the kind of icebreakers. When I interact with people, they see Chloe and want to talk to her, talk to me, and I'll give her a very specific command to break her from her attention on me, and I'll give her the command visit, and then she can engage with whoever I'm talking about.
And
so with me and her, it's okay to pet.
It's okay. And she's got a patch on her too that says, please pet me. Right? So now you're looking for a position in the EMT world, right? Because you couldn't get enough of it in the military, so you've got that heart to help. So talk about your experience as you're going out there and interviewing. Obviously, you've got a service dog. Have there been challenges with that?
Yes, there have. I'll be, like I said, as hospital corpsman, worldwide service in hospitals, ships, forward deployed combat experience, specializing in trauma care, pre-hospital care. And so I've sought out employment, but due to my injuries and condition, it's not the best fit for me to be, working on an ambulance, responding to emergency calls on scene. But because my experience, my knowledge and administrative background in the healthcare industry, I'm seeking out employment for more of the emergency medicine administration, training and education as well.
That's excellent. Now, John, how have you helped him along his path? What doors have you opened? What have you guys done together that has helped him do what he's doing now?
I think a lot of our initial discussion together was really just helping Caleb define that sense of purpose. What is it that he was looking for himself? And then once we can define that, then we can translate that to an employment opportunity. But we also talked about some of the experiences that he had had with employers with regard to having a service dog. And that it's really important for Caleb, but more importantly for the employers to understand that Caleb's not defined by his disability.
Right.
He's not defined by the fact that he has a service dog.
Right.
He's defined by his talents and skills.
Right.
And the incredible things that he can provide for an employer once an employer is wise enough to bring him on the team. But so we worked through that path, and we've looked at a couple of opportunities. We've helped prepare for prepare resumes for interviews,
okay.
help prepare for interviews, help prepare to some kind of media training even as well for Caleb to work on how he just tells his story. So that's what we've done, and we've looked at a couple of other opportunities, and there's a couple brewing right now. So
that's scary though. Resume writing and interviewing, right?
Being in the military, I joined straight out of high school at 17, 18 years old. That's what I did for my adult career. Up until just a few weeks ago, I had never had a suit and tie formal interview.
No kidding.
John was really essential in providing great tips and everything like that to help me out with that.
So John, tell us how much it costs and how we can get a hold of you if we're a veteran and we need help.
Well, for the veterans that we work with, it's absolutely free.
I love that.
For the employers that we work with to help connect veterans with opportunities, that's absolutely free as well. But our program is primarily funded through Bob Hope's family. But there is an opportunity here in the very near future. Vons has been a very strong contributor to our program, and they're running an in-store campaign in Vons and Pavilion stores in Southern California over a 10-day period during Veterans Day from November 4th through 13th. So when folks are going through the checkout line and they say, would you like to be able to help support local area veterans and engage in their employment opportunities, that's our program. And it goes directly right here to our community here in Southern California, so we can get quality veterans like Caleb an opportunity to get into the civilian workforce.
Excellent. Well, Caleb, thank you for your service. Thank you for being a part of our show this morning. John Funk, Easter Seals of Southern California. It is always a pleasure to be in studio with you. Thank you for all you're doing, and thank you, too, for your service.
Thank you.
All right, let's get out to Vons and donate money to Easter Seals of Southern California. Don't go away. We're going to be right back with more of Operation American Dream.
All right, welcome back to Operation American Dream. In the employment and transition segment today, we've got a couple great guests. We got my good buddy, Kevin Cortez, former Marine pilot.
That's right.
Would you fly?
CH-53E, Super Stallions.
53s, yeah, the big ones, man.
That's right. Yeah.
I've seen one of those come up on an aircraft carrier, and it was just like crazy.
It blows all the LSCs off the deck.
Yeah, people were running for cover.
They need to.
And then Deborah Rosen is the president and CEO of the North San Diego Business Chamber. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you.
So, Kevin, you got in the Marine Corps in 2015.
Yes.
January 2015. So
Right.
coming up on a couple years out.
I can't believe it'll be 2 years come this January.
You're getting your feet on solid ground. You're kind of like, we can't, political correctness got to be, you're looking sharp, man.
You got to curve them out. You got to know how to dress. Got to take some tips from.
Can't be dragging the knuckles anymore.
That's right.
People, all right. People should know I'm a Marine too. I can say these kind of things.
That's all right.
All right. So you got out and you started working as Chief Military Officer for Miramar Federal Credit Union.
Correct.
And that's the credit union right off base at Miramar.
Yeah, right on Miramar Road in Black Mountain.
Yeah, and then you guys ended up starting a partnership or working with the North San Diego Business Chamber, or became members in the chamber.
Right. So when I came on board last summer, I was hired initially as business development officer. Our credit union needed a resurgence with our military community. My boss, Paul Sochi, and I met actually socially, and when I was transitioning, which is a good story I actually tell, is I used my network of people that I've met while I was transitioning and used that as a resource to look for employment. Turns out that he needed someone to speak military for the credit union, and so I just took off from there. So I became involved in several organizations, and one of them that came up was the North San Diego Business Chamber. When we joined as members, I went to a couple of meetings and found out they had a military transition council. Highly interested, ran to our good friend Brian Smiley there, and just engaged to where I'm at now, where now I'm the co-chair of the Military Transition Council.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Deborah, tell me about the North San Diego Business Chamber, kind of what the organization is, and then we can kind of get into some of the programs related to the military.
Well, we're a business organization, and we're there as a resource for businesses. And human capital is one of the biggest challenges that they face, especially our small business. And we knew that we were missing a big piece of the human capital that could really help them, and that was the military.
So tell me, so you have programs related to helping veterans transition or helping military members transition?
We do. We have a program called Operation Connect. And what we do is we take transitioning military members, and they go through an intense program with the chamber. It's a one-day class. When they're done, they're given a mentor, which is a community or business leader in the region. And that mentor will work with them until they can find a job and help them acclimate into the corporate world. So after they've been given a mentor, they're also given a 6-month membership to the chamber so they can attend our business networking events every month at no cost. And so what they're doing is they're using the skill set that they've been taught in their class, but they actually get to put it to work. Because there's a lot of programs in the region, a lot of great programs, but once they're done with the program, there's no place to use those skills. Whereas in our business networking events, they have the opportunity to network with 150 to 200 business leaders every single month.
And when is it available? Like if I'm in the military, getting ready to transition, how far in and how far out can you be to take part in the program?
You know, there's no hard, fast rules. Usually they'll approach us within 1 to 3 months of exiting the military. And we've had some come to us a year after because they're just finding out about it. So there's really no hard, fast rules, but you know, it's really hard for them to transition. They wear the same uniform every day for years, and they don't know what to wear to a business event, and they don't really know how to interview for or translate their skill set into a corporate language. And so, if they haven't learned it within that first year of being out, we welcome them to come to the program. It's open and it's free to any transitioning military.
Well, Kevin, you mentioned like the importance of your networking, right? And the military on the transition side, a lot of times there's a lot of focus on kind of resume writing and maybe school and that kind of thing. But how important is like your network is everything, right?
It is, and it's vital that our service members who are transitioning learn that earlier than later. I know that there are a lot of the veterans I speak to wait till within a few months of them transitioning to when it's almost too late. My personal story was that I started networking 4 years prior to retirement.
Wow.
So I knew that I was staying in New County. I knew I was going to go to a staff job where I wasn't going to be flying anymore, where I was going to have co-pilots trying to kill me. So I was kind of a little bit happy about that. But other than that, it's all about who you know. And I believe when you have an advocate that can stand on your side and give you that assist up is a big benefit for our transition service members.
I also think like the element of mentorship is massively important. If you can get someone to kind of steer you through as opposed to trying to figure it out or God forbid go on the internet and do a Google search. I mean, to have somebody sit there with you, have the personal element and have someone that's been successful in a certain area, I mean, that's got to be a massive draw.
It really is, and what we do is we really look at the background of the individual, of the transitioning military, match them up with a business leader that is going to be a good match for them. And so some of our mentors have actually reached into their companies and pulled out other people that can help them prepare for interviews that might do a little bit better job than they do. So we try to do our best job with matching them up and with good members, good community members.
Kevin, is there any like success stories, recent success stories from the program? Or is there anything you can point to about the program that's been most useful to people?
I think the last stat we had was that our last 20 graduates, and I think we may be a month off, 19 of them got asked for interviews.
Wow.
And I believe that the success rate is gaining momentum because of the program that's very targeted to give them some of the tools and techniques that adds on to what they get in the military transitioning, but on a very intimate personal level where they can take away from the chamber an experience that no other installation is going to give in the military. So that's a benefit about being part of the program.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, I appreciate what you guys do for the transition. I mean, obviously transition is a massive kind of issue, right? When you look at the kind of broad scope of kind of the military and all the issues that they have, transition into civilian life is one of the major things that always have to be addressed. And just as a Chamber of Commerce, a business chamber, to focus on the military specifically and recognize the value to companies there is just really, I appreciate what you guys do, and man, I appreciate you a ton. You know that?
Absolutely.
You're all over the place doing 10 million different things. You don't have to do any of it, right? So, man, I appreciate what you do always,
Thanks,
man. You know
Dan.
that. So, yeah, if you are interested in getting involved, or we'll run the URL of the San Diego Business Chamber. Also, check out Miramar Federal. We'll be right back. Stick around for more Operation American Dream.
Welcome back to Operation American Dream. I'm Eve Nasby in studio once again with Rochelle Snook, WD-40's Global Talent Acquisition Manager, to answer yet another one of your questions. This one is a real good one. Are you ready, Rochelle?
I'm ready.
It's the toughest one.
Okay.
What about compensation? How do I talk about compensation in an interview? Do I talk about it in the interview? What should I do?
It's a delicate conversation no matter when it comes up throughout the employment process. So there's a couple of different ways you can approach it. Often the recruiter will ask for your compensation expectations, and if you're a transitioning veteran and you don't have that information, it's very difficult to answer. So there's a couple of ways you can phrase it. The first might be, well, here's where I'm currently at. Here's my current compensation. Here's my package. Here's my housing allowance and all those other components that come into it. And then you could also say, I have a range. This is kind of what I'm looking for. But then close that with a question. Say, please help me understand. I'm not familiar with the civilian compensation. What are your expectations, or what are the company's expectations of the value of this position? Can we have that conversation? Because I'm open and I'm flexible, and I'd rather go into that dialogue than put a particular number on it. Because in many situations, they might say, "Oh, I'm looking for 100,000," and the position might be ranged, 60 to 70. So to be open and flexible, and to engage in that dialogue is a great strategy.
Now, you recommend doing that on the first interview?
I recommend doing it when the recruiter or the hiring manager brings it up.
Okay, so wait for them to bring it up.
Wait for them to bring it up. Typically during the first or maybe even the second meeting, they're still evaluating you. They're still trying to determine what your fit will be for the company, for the role, what your skill set is. Once they determine that, they'll have a better idea and know kind of a little closer with a finer range of what the compensation expectations might look like.
Okay, because you encourage people to come in with about 3 to 5 well thought out questions for the company. Yes. The compensation is probably not one of those.
I wouldn't suggest
let them bring
asking
it up first.
it on the front end. It will come up inevitably if the right fit for the company and for the position, and then you'll get to that point. But I am not necessarily on the front end.
Now, what happens when they make you the offer and it's a little bit lower than what you expected? How do you go back and negotiate well?
Good question. And phrase it just that way, Eve. I think you teed it up nicely. Just say, this isn't quite what I expected. I was looking for a little more. Here's the reasons why. Do you have any flexibility that we could have an ongoing conversation about it? Some recruiters and hiring managers will. Others have very rigorous compensation methodologies that they will be applying throughout the process. So it's a conversation.
Another tough question answered by our Rochelle Snook from WD-40. Thank you for once again being a part of our show.
Thanks so much, Eve.
We'll be right back after these messages. Don't go away.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Operation American Dream. Eve, another one in the books.
It was amazing. So I think after interviewing Rocky Chavez, we should have more Marines in political office. So I'm going to vote for you.
What are you implying? I'm going to live somewhere rural. I'm getting away from it all. I can't handle this politics stuff. That's no good for me.
Well, we also had John Funk, Easter Seals. What a great guy, and doing great work with all of our veterans
It was an employment-heavy show. I like that.
Yeah.
Can't do anything else with that employment, can you?
No, I don't think so.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week, and be sure to connect up with us on OperationAmericanDream.tv. See you then.